Everyone, you've tuned into the 100th episode of What's Neat This Week. If you can hardly believe it, I can.
Yes.
I'm looking for a good time tonight. We have a whole bunch of guys. We actually have the original guys from episode 1. We're going to be talking about what we did as a sequel to the cool topics that we had back then. We're going to revisit right now, so check it out.
Show 100.
Rock and roll.
100.
The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Athearn Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at athearn.com. And by Intermountain Railway Company, where the detail makes the difference. Check out their website at intermountain-railway.com. Additional support is provided by Cowcatcher magazine, all about the community of model railroading and rail enthusiasts. Check out their website at www.cowcatchermagazine.com. And by the Gateway St. Louis 2020 NMRA. Meet me in St. Louis, July 12th through the 18th, 2020. For more information on this, check out their website at www.gateway2020.org.
And by Reynolds, Euro Imports, full steam ahead since 1904. Check out their website at reynolds.com.
Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast.
This is the What's Neat This Week show about model railroading, number 100.
One not.
One not. That's something else. It's
Tonight we've got a great crowd. We've got the original podcast crew that started show number 1, which is Dave Davis, right? Do you remember that day?
Yes, I
Chris
do.
Palomares, that was something that you and, yes. Dirk Reynolds, look at that.
Yeah.
We've got Dirk with
Hi,
us
Dirk.
tonight.
Dirk.
I've got Sugar Fire, Joshua Barton.
What up, everybody?
I got Mike Buddy sitting next to me here.
Hey, everybody.
We've got the youth in the hobby,
Daniel.
Coombs.
Our electronics
We've also
expert.
got James Regier standing in the back. He's going to switch out with Dirk a little later through the show. I've got Jeff Meyer here, and thank you very much, Steve Mantilla, for
That's
running
right.
camera.
And don't forget Doug, the
Doug.
security guy.
Yeah, bouncer.
What's neat
And
this week,
Connor, too.
security.
You can't forget Connor.
So we got a lot of stuff to talk about and a lot of stuff to cover and a whole bunch of beautiful models on the table tonight, which is what you guys all love. So kick back, let's get that coffee hot, and I'm going to throw it right over to Chris because he's the one that started the first show and it was your idea. And I know you've got some plans for tonight. So Chris?
Oh, yeah. Don't forget the smile, Ken.
Nah.
There you go.
Well, what I wanted to talk about was kind of like a sequel to episode 1, and we were talking about the Midwest modelers layout, and we were kind of reflecting on what the modelers layout could be from 1997 to 2017. 2 years later, a lot has happened, and I have Dirk Reynolds here. He commented a little bit about curves. I have Dave Davis there. He's has some updates on track work too, but what I kind of want to put together too is some of the things that I've realized with vehicles, and something that's been kind of absent from modular railroading altogether is, integrating a street system for guys with the RC 187 vehicles to really take
Almost
advantage.
equal time.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Come up with like a common standard for the road system as well as the track system, so you can start running vehicles across there. Because it was a Route 66 vibe for the original
Yes,
Midwest.
right.
So what if it was kind of along those lines of American Graffiti, kind of a little bit more attention to like drive-ins, diners, and dives, and
Truck
You're
stops.
talking about-
muscle cars,
Yeah.
and
Truck
stuff
stops.
like truck
and
stops.
I hear the name Sam Dennehy
That's
in the
right.
background.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but a lot of that stuff was close proximity to right of ways, so we can consider that into modular railroading, and it would be a great thing if I could get like the What's Neat This Week guys to kind of each take a portion of building a module at some point, and kind of bring to life these ideas that we've kind of put out over the past couple of years. Let's put our best effort into some of these aspects of modular
into every
rail.
aspect
That's a
of it.
great idea.
Like
You
Joshua was talking about earlier, You know, everybody has a train layout that's either point to point or it's a continuous run.
Right.
Well, what we've been ignoring all these years because there hasn't been anything, and now there is with RC cars, RC tractor trailers. Now let's make our roads the right dimension.
Yeah.
And let's give them somewhere they can go
Give
so they
them,
can
give
interact.
them medians, give them parking spots that they can go
Right.
to. You know,
Exactly.
make
Don't
it
forget
more
the median.
realistic. Don't just have a road that runs right through the layout.
Right.
Yeah.
Have a road that runs with the layout.
Right.
And that, well, especially like on the internet, I've only seen one layout that the guy really concentrates on. It's like a 40-foot long stretch, and there's a road right alongside it with the different crossings.
That's awesome.
The different railroad access roads and things. But that's the one thing that we have to prepare for now.
We gotta
because
prepare for
RC stuff
Absolutely.
is here.
Let's
Oh,
get the
man.
187 vehicles guys into this layout. Let's
And-
get the train guys into it, and let's do some awesome scenery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's put all of our best effort into it. I mean, we also in the last 2 years have been blessed with wireless LED technology, so that could really pay off for just a car that could be in a parking lot or something like that.
With the lights.
Lights on, you don't have to plug it in or anything. It just
Yeah.
sets on top of
Yeah. Wow.
the recharging pad, pretty
Right.
much.
But maybe if Ken could put up some B-roll of the box truck that
That
was
was
in the back
John
of the
Tyson.
Yeah. What
What
a
an
great
excellent
little
scene.
video there.
That was a classic video.
You see in
Yeah.
the train, but also now he
All of a
catches
sudden,
your eye.
yeah.
And then
Yeah,
his
the-
brake light goes on, then he makes his turn.
Yeah.
It made the whole scene like,
It
wow,
did.
what? I'd like to see that again. Was that real or was it
Yeah,
what?
John Tyson and Ed Richardson too. He was a pioneer. So the two people I knew that are into RC
And
vehicles.
that's just
and
here
I-
in the States.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Ed moved to Oklahoma City or Tulsa, Oklahoma City, I think. But he's still doing. He's making a truck right now. He's been showing it on Facebook.
That's awesome.
That's
So-
neat.
They've both been on the What's Neat shows. We featured Ed Richardson's wonderful work, and both of them.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
When
different
John
vehicles.
Tyson showed up, it was amazing. He
Oh,
he
yeah.
opened my eyes.
Right.
But it was Dave Davis that got me to buy that Keans tractor trailer about 10
Yeah.
years ago.
I remember
And that
that.
was $399, and it worked.
And it was
It was
fun on
pretty
that 5-foot warehouse
Not-
that I did in a big, huge parking lot.
Yeah,
You could actually
yeah.
maneuver it, and you had some.
Yeah.
You had some
no
area to
obstructions.
run in.
Room, yeah.
But yeah, like what Joshua was saying is, why not just do the roads, not just a token road,
Yeah.
but a road that
Actually
does have,
have it
like you said, the
go
median.
somewhere.
And now we have stoplights. We have all this
E-
stuff. And now we
exactly.
have blinkers in our vehicles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's, to have to where you can actually go somewhere on a layout like you do with your train. Well, why
Right.
not on the road too?
Now, I've seen a lot of stuff on Facebook groups, and they're most European and South American people that do it. Not a lot of people here in America, but I mean, they are getting so in depth, so complex with these,
Oh, gosh.
little bitty micro engines and these wheels. Like you were saying, the wheels really make the car, and if it's just these little, crappy little plastic ones, they need rubber. You
Right,
need to have
right.
better
Right.
better
Right.
stuff
Oh, I
now.
know. Yeah.
And they're able to do that now.
Now,
which
when
is
you, when
so
you
neat.
look at those and you see the vehicle going down the street and it's wobbling,
Right.
well, it's time to put that tire on a Dremel tool and true it up like they
That's
do in
right.
the tire industry.
That's
We
right.
have- when we
Retread it.
When we,
Yeah.
when we retread tires and we have that under rubber that puts it out, so people like Penske and other customers will not put up with it.
Send your
So we'll
faulty
have-
tires to Dave Davis here at What's Neat This Week.
The 187 tire specialist.
I remember when Dirk Reynolds was on the show, he built the Station 51 fire engine house.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was cool.
You also built Mel's Diner, didn't you?
I'm still working on that. A lot of little lights going there. I didn't
Yeah.
have the technology back then.
Yeah.
Now I do.
And
Well,
I'll tell
kiss
you
my
that
grits.
that
And how long
Casey's
ago
gas
was that,
station
Dirk?
too.
Probably 5 years. Didn't I
God.
drill the holes out in that for you?
Yeah, I think you did actually.
It's amazing how much can change in 5 years.
Yeah, sure
yeah,
can.
It's
Right.
amazing.
Yes.
I mean, look at the beautiful vehicles we got on the table. These aren't remote control, but these are those wonderful Model Ts. I believe they are from Renaults.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
Ray
are awesome.
Plashesky, remember him on the show?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was Brittany, his daughter, that reached out to our What's Neat show and said, hey, we'd like to maybe show off some of our European type models on your show. And this week they sent us a lot of neat models, and I photographed every one of these outside today. First of all, I'm going to start out with the Model T Ford touring car with the top up. And then there's a same model with the top down. It's the first convertible probably ever made. And they also supplied us this week to show off a Ford Model T Runabout. And that also came with the top down and a version with the top up. And I shot these outside this afternoon, and it was a beautiful day. Thank you. The snow is melting. The one model that James Regier really liked was this beautiful combine from Massey Ferguson.
Yes.
And this is in 1/87th scale, and this thing is really tricked out. I photographed it on top of a narrow gauge flat card today.
Wow.
And there's also one on the table, and don't worry about zooming in on this one. It's in 1/220th scale, which, as we all know, is Z scale.
Wow.
So
And
I-
it is not a blob. That is one
But these
trick
combines,
little model.
they look exactly like what I would see as a kid, out in the pastures or out in the back of someone's farmhouse, just kind of rusting away in the junkyard.
Sure.
Your microphone's picking him
Or
up.
parted
Those
out.
old
is-
those old combines out there.
So I shot both of these on the same flat car so you could see a side-by-side comparison. So rock and roll, it really is Z scale and HO scale. And these are some beautiful, beautiful models. And the last model that we have from Renault's today is this really beautiful small blue Ford tractor in HO scale. I shot 2 photographs of this outside today. Also, they sent us a forklift, which I put on the loading dock of this building, and it's a really neat model also in HO scale.
Pick
The
it up.
last model I've got is this beautiful N-scale European tender barge. I guess that's what that's called.
Oh, okay, so right there.
Yeah.
It's actually called a Spitz, but it's a barge for real, and it's got coal loads in it that are interchangeable with the loads with the tops. What are those called, Dave? Those
Lids?
lids.
Lids.
So you can cover
kidding.
Yeah,
up the
they
load.
look just like what you'd see flying up and down the Rhine or the Elbe. A lot of the rivers in Germany, I could see boats just like that.
Self-contained boats.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah.
They're absolutely beautiful, and I checked out their website. There's a lot of HO scale boats. I mean, really cool ones.
Well, remember that barge you made years ago before
It's-
everybody even thought of
Still
it?
there.
It's
Yeah.
still here. So check it out, guys, at Renaults.com. Thank you very much, Ray, for helping us with what we do to promote the hobby. Your models are absolutely exquisite, and I can't wait to drive up to Chicago and videotape and shoot some of your facilities that you've got. Campbell Rice, one of our podcast members who's not here tonight, did come up there, and he was very impressed and bought some gorgeous trees. How about those pine trees
Oh,
that we
yeah.
showed off on the show?
wow.
Incredible.
Yeah.
The pine tree is absolutely beautiful. I shot this outside, and also the deciduous trees that they've got in all scales. You can't beat it, guys. It's amazing. Going back to the technology, it's not RC cars, but the trees are just as important.
Yeah. Well, before we go too much further, I want to get Dirk to weigh in. So, going back to episode 1, you were talking about some curves that would look better for larger passenger cars to kind of keep from the sides to kind of pinch together on the diaphragm vestibule.
And the unnatural overhang.
yeah,
right.
Yeah. Have you had any recent experiences from now
Yes,
and then?
I just completed putting a gentleman is kind of limited in what he can do on layout building, so I went over and helped him out, and he got a nice size layout going, and I put 42-inch radius curves on his layout so he could run big boys. And then I swept the curves with the line. He's got a second line. And now he can run a big boy. He's got the big passenger cars. He can run that. There's not going to be a problem there because I've got that size.
Yeah, definitely. So let's so what do you think about like a modern modular layout? Do you still kind of maintain, a larger radius curve is better?
Turn that microphone.
I've always looked at the larger because I always tell the story of you go to the train show, you come across somebody, actually did this in Indianapolis, and he's got a big boy laying there and he wants $185 for it. Well, that's a $400 to $700 engine. Well, if you buy it and you get home and you don't have large curves, maybe it was mine. We don't have large curves, then all you did is buy yourself a nice fireplace mantle model.
Right. Yeah.
Because you
Display
can't run
only.
it. Yeah, right. So I always tell them, let's get as big as we can. He had the room. I bought a Gandy Dancer a long time ago. I expanded it out to 52 inches, and I put 42 on his, so he's got a 42 and then a 40 inch. And well, you got all those big cars now,
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you got you got your 6 truck diesels, which he has a lot of. Then you have Well, look
auto
at the,
racks. And
Look at the auto racks.
89-foot cars. Yeah.
What's those gondolas? 69-foot gondolas?
65 foot tall.
65. Yeah.
Cross- Okay,
5-foot
so-
Milgons. Yes.
If you get those large curves, those cars are going to go around with no problem.
And they
They'll
look better
doing
too.
it.
Yeah. So
Right,
what
right.
would you guys say? Let's all kind of weigh in on this. What would be the ideal larve curve size for a modular layout?
Well, with the modular layout, now you're setting up in a space where sky's the limit almost. I maybe cut it down to maybe a 50.
And like
I
a
was
minimal. I think minimum.
I was going to
Of
say
course, bigger is better.
42 to 48
Yeah.
minimum.
Okay.
Yeah.
48 would be a good thing, good way to figure things out. You know.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and then the footprint of the
Four-fit, right,
layout can be
right.
in 8 or 10 feet.
Yeah.
Versus if you do way too big, you could be
Yeah.
13 plus. And
Right.
as soon as you get wider, sometimes on if you're thinking of a closed loop type
Yeah.
layout.
This is where Freebo comes in and is great.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
balloons at the end you're looking at like a 16-foot sort of
Circle. Yeah, it's a
circle that
balloon.
you got to
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
figure out on each end,
Yeah,
which
you
can
gotta
get a little
expand it
tough.
all
That's,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, folding it in on itself, kind of like a Nautilus shell, was always a challenge in Fremo.
I was gonna weigh in just with my new layout I'm building. I got 28 inches maximum,
Thank you, Dave.
and I got at least 22 inches. But 22 inches, of course, is very very small, and it's
Right.
like you can't
Yeah.
really get those long cars. Like I actually got a few long cars. I got a couple auto racks. There's no way I'm running out 22
Yeah.
inches because
Right.
they're just gonna.
Yeah.
Right, you're going to
Kink
be
up.
pinching around some
Right.
of those curves. So, all right, hey Dave, let's talk about track detail because back
Oh
in
yeah.
2017, you kind of touched upon it a little bit.
Make sure that camera.
And there's been some latest
walk
and
over there.
greatest
Go
with
ahead.
your
Just walk over
techniques
there.
and your ideas and what you kind of brought to life with a
Well,
track. So,
I'm just trying to. There was a conversation that you
Was
and
it
I
recording?
had over a couple years ago.
oh right,
And it was about making our train
say
track
record on it
not
now?
look like it's coming out of a train set box.
Yeah.
Whether it's flex track or even laying your own track. So I
Thank
when we
you,
were
Daniel.
talking, I said, well, hey, why don't I mold and cast some ties
yeah,
that are, filed down where the spike plate is, so the tie is creeping up, like I cut away into them, having different size things. The best example right now of it already being practiced is with Andy Dorsch.
the marsh line.
The marsh, the CNW marsh line, where he's incorporated it into, and out of his own words, is exactly what he was looking for, is misshapen ties and a main line actually that's in disrepair. And when he got it in there and he started putting it all together, it really didn't look good until he got it all done, and he focused in on it, and it was exactly where I was looking for.
Right.
And you look down the track, and there's tires all over the place instead of a beautiful, mainline track. And so I molded and casted some, and I was on a service call in a railroad yard over Norfolk Southern. I was looking over the tie pile, and I thought, well, there's where I get my color match on the gray
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
silver.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
got that home, and I thought, I just chip out one, and I started making ties out of it. And then
Perfect material.
Yeah.
it really was. And then once I
Yeah.
scaled it down, and then I thought, well, you know what? It's going to be crude. But the closer I got into it with a magnifying,
Oh, man.
and it just looked more real the closer I
Right.
got into
I've
it.
seen them. Yeah.
And they're all
They
different.
are
There's-
awesome.
The closer you
there's not
get,
one same.
the more real they look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
more into just hand laying your track than buying commercially made stuff.
Well, I start out with the commercially made stuff, and I'll only keep like one out of every 5 ties to keep it engaged, and then in between I'll glue these in.
Yeah, you take a regular track and you kind of augment it with like,
Right.
your scratch built ties to make it more realistic.
Yeah, because I don't want to go all the way with it. I want to get something I can get done in a few hours.
Right. Yeah.
Not days and days. And what Andrew Dorsch did is something I did a little differently, but I think his is a little better. Is the way he did the railroad, the tie that what they call circuit board,
Right.
where he soldered it to keep it engaged.
Gotcha.
'Cause like he said, he goes, operation is first,
Yep.
Right.
and the
Right.
cosmetics is second. So I mean, he did it a little better than what I did, but he pulled it off. And if you
Cool.
go to his CNW Marsh line
On YouTube.
on YouTube,
Yeah.
I've been watching on my Fire Stick and not the computer. But that's just one example.
Right.
We have Jeff Otto with
Oh, yeah.
with
Hotel.
and
Yep.
I've watched a lot. My time toilet is YouTube. And I've watched stuff go over switches. And when the wheel falls into the frog, it wrecks that part of it. Where with his stuff, it's smooth. It's just like it should be. And it's actually, his profiles are correct.
Yeah, one of the cool things about, irregular track is like these high cube boxcars and stuff. You can really see the, roof line swing from side to side slowly as you're pulling this cut of cars down the track.
And it's only in certain spots.
Yeah.
It's not everywhere. But with him, and then there's Tim Runnels out in California coming with him. And
Shout out to
Central
Tim
Valley.
and
Jeff
Parker.
Parker. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I was out of the hobby for 6 years, and those guys showed up down here 2 years ago or so with a self-guarded frog and a super detailed switch, and it sucked me right back into it.
Yeah, brought back into HL. Welcome back.
And coming back what you were saying, and just in those last 5 years, the scenery got better, the electronics got better, the engines and the cars and everything got better. And now these guys are doing it with the track, and it does work.
Yeah, speaking of some of these, high-profile cars, whose cars are those, Ken?
These are Intermountains. As soon as I woke up today, I went outside and shot 27 photographs of these various products. We've got some N-scale models and HO-scale models tonight that are brand new off the press from Intermountain. Starting with the N-scale cylindrical hopper cars, Canadian Pacific. And James, go ahead and just get over Dirk's shoulder on this. You told me that there was a difference in hatches, and you told me these are called, on the Canadian Pacific, round hatches.
Yeah,
that was the first one.
So you have the round hatches, and those are made for bulk commodities, aggregates, and that sort of thing. And then you have the trough hatches, which are more your grain hoppers. And so Intermountain has modeled both of these really nicely, and just kind of blowing my mind, from remembering assembling some of the early Intermountain cars, back when they came out in the 90s. These things have see-through walkways.
Yes, walkways. They're absolutely beautiful.
I mean, this is an N scale.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't have see-through walkways in HO scale when I was building those cars. It's just incredible what they've accomplished here, and you have these two different hatch types. You have these paint schemes that are pretty faithful to the prototype. You notice this blue car. It used to be Koppel. Now it's relabeled ATSF.
That's right.
Patch job. So
Ex-Koppel.
they've done.
Isn't that a prototype?
Santa Fe X-Koppel.
Yeah, sure is.
Through hatch. We've also got a Canadian Pacific Script. That's the black car here. That's got a troughed hatch on top. The Canadian National, the government of Canada, that's the branch line too, also has a troughed hatch. I photographed every one of these. The potash, that's the round hatches on top of that one. And the Canadian National Wet Noodle, I saw that one. Those have got round hatches on top. And the Scholar, what's that called? Is that a Scholar?
Yeah.
That's the yellow one that you're looking at right here. That's got troughed hatches on top. And I photographed these together looking at the roofs. They make two different kinds of troughed hatches for the roofs, along with the circular single hatches. Intermountain's done a fabulous job at N-scale, and I know there's a lot of N-scale guys out there.
Yeah,
they've been on Reader.
they're hungry
They really
for
set
content,
the bar. They
Yeah.
set the bar years back.
I'm not sure I'm going to edit all that, but it should come out. And as our feedback, I think what it is, it's our DCC system interfering with
It might be.
headphones.
Okay.
We're going to get through that. Now, going back to the boxcars briefly that you asked me about, these are all 50-foot Gunderson high-cube boxcars, absolutely brand new from Intermountain, double-door boxcars. I've got the Milwaukee Road, which is a real, you were talking about
that's
that
a
one
prototype
tonight.
one, too.
You were showing me pictures of that tonight. That was neat there, Chris. We got a Burlington Northern in the green. I've got a BNSF. This is a new image. I've got a CP Rail, which is an ex-Milwaukee Road. So CP Rail evidently bought these, and the red is beautiful. on
Well,
that.
they
Those when
inherited them
acquired
from
the Sioux
Milwaukee.
line.
Yeah.
And the Sioux line.
BNSF Circle Cross logo. The Santa Fe red one. I
Yeah.
love that one. That's
Oh, yeah.
We also have Golden West Service, and I found out tonight that that's Southern Pacific.
Yeah,
yeah.
those used to be
Really?
SP, and what Golden West was.
Right.
It was pretty much a way to get around, some exemptions
Taxes.
on taxes and stuff like that. And they started off as peak roof, and then later on, Golden West rebuilt them into a larger cubic foot capacity, and then they flattened the roof on them.
That's really cool. And the very last one on the table tonight is this beautiful yellow Union Pacific High Cube,
like that one, too.
50-foot Gunderson. Again, photographed them all outside because we all like to look at these outdoors in real sunlight. It makes them look great. Thank you so much, the folks at Intermountain, for helping us with what we're doing.
And these cars are like in the Intermountain value line too. Like
They
these
are value line.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
look great.
They roll excellently. They have the Intermountain trucks. They have the Katy couplers on them, and like I was just observing them, they just roll very smoothly. The
roll
detail
great,
on
yeah.
them is excellent. They're at a reduced price from what you'd expect for Intermountain products.
A value price.
A value price.
They're equivalent to like Train Man series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have just one more topic to touch upon from episode 1, Ken. So this is going to be one where we all kind of weigh in on, because it's all just sort of like subjective and personal opinion. So this modular layout that we're talking about, or a module that goes to a bigger modular layout, what would be your personal opinion on either a prototype location, or would you do an inspired scene?
I think we
And
could
no-
start
there's-
out with a prototype location.
Uh-huh.
And we were talking about roads earlier and using
Yeah.
drone footage and photography, and I think you were even brought up just laser printing that onto plastic, where
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't have to glue anything onto the plastic.
Right.
But I think we could find a spot and maybe just keep it at an 8-foot module.
Yeah.
And then we incorporate all the new electronics like what he's found, and
Yeah, as
and
a
the
track.
roadway
Oh
stuff,
yeah.
and the track and the scenery and everything that's just really happened in like the last 5-10 years.
Yeah.
To really just see how much better it can be, and with the closer to real we're getting, it's because everything is out there for us.
Yeah. What about you, Dirk? What do you think?
I'm going to go the other way because I actually came over here to learn how to model.
Okay.
When I came in and saw Ken and his layout that was in here, and watching Mike Buddy build stuff, and Dave came in with track and others, prototype modeling is tedious.
Yes.
And I think either for a beginner or intermediate, just look at it and say, what do I want to see?
Yeah.
And then build it in that order. And ask professionals like these guys, what do I use? Do I use the foam, cork? You know, how do I build it? What not? And then just build it that way. And not to say that it's easier, but you know, prototype modeling can be, because I've done it since I learned how to do it over here, and it takes a long time to do that.
And
And
it's not always exciting to look at is the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and this is
Yeah.
where the freelance kind of helps a little bit to keep the interest.
Yeah.
Right.
But there was a story. Dan Holbrook that has range research up there.
Uh-huh.
He took a conductor out of one of his trains because he was a train master up there. Took a conductor home. Didn't really know anything about trains. And he came down there and he goes, "Wow, this is a whole different avenue here." And they put him in charge of building a station. So he went and measured, and he did the pictures and everything, and he came out with something that a master builder. So I mean, you don't have to have much modeling ability to do it.
Right.
And like Ken said over the years, and even you, our best cheat sheet is pictures
right.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
historical things to make it all accurate. And if it isn't really exciting enough, you can add some trees. You can add
Modeler's license.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And you can do that with it, but it's nice to start out with some place that has some meaning. I
Yeah.
mean, there's some
Right.
place right here in town that means something to all of us. It could be in Kirkwood, it could be downtown, it could be on the east side.
How
Yeah.
about that?
But I mean, that's a one way to start. I mean, you can go both ways with it. Nobody has to do anything.
No, it's your
That's
railroad.
right.
Exactly
right.
what you
It's
want
your
to do.
layout. Do what you want.
Right.
Now, what we wanted to do was make it so it would slide in here or slide in somewhere. And then we could make some converter modules so we can, be with the Fremo people. And those are the people we really want to be around because those
Yeah.
are our railroad modeler
Sipping and
friends.
switching societies,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
There's Speedmo kind of coming up, Fremo proper, the national one. I mean, there's a lot of good options now for modular layout specifications. So it's just a matter of like, I honestly think that there's a way to kind of like have a module that's compatible with all of them, just by using certain design and engineering ideas to kind of overcome some of the.
But is the
pegs and-
DCC kind of a norm in all of them?
Yeah, I think that the NMRA did a good job specifying the DCC at a track level. So I think that it's a matter of like figuring out, and we're in technology now where there's convergence happening with DCC. NCE and all this other stuff that are becoming more sophisticated. There's, Roco out there that can actually, with the Loco sniffer port, you can take an NCE digital signal, put it into this Roco system, and it'll blend the two systems together. So you can run NCE, LocoNet, any of the lens, Wi-Fi throttles, all on one system. It's crazy what you can do now.
It's so awesome to have Dirk here. I want Dirk to switch out with James Regier, because James has got some really cool models on the table. Yes. And to go back to your original question, Chris, I would say modeling the prototype is the easiest thing to do because all the guesswork is taken out of it.
Yep, that's true.
I agree.
What I was trying to say.
All of the answers are there in front of you, so there's no guesswork. It's not like freelance where you've actually got to imagine what's going on. And I know you know Tim Blackwell. He's a great guy.
I sure
and
do.
We've got a latest issue of Cowcatcher magazine is coming out in 2 more days, so be ready for that on the newsstand. That's a bi-monthly publication.
Yeah, this one's still December, but what's really cool in the December one, at least, is this one photo that you and I did for the Athearn shot.
That's a beautiful shot.
This is of the Northern Pacific Challenger, the Z8. Just wanted to let everybody know that Tuesday this coming week, probably, the following day after this gets uploaded. So it'll be like Christmas Eve. Ken and I are gonna be putting up another Athearn winter photo, and we're really excited to bring it to you.
James Regier and I have been working diligently for the past 48 hours on this beautiful Christmas shot. We still can't discuss what's in it, but it is gorgeous.
It's looking really
beautiful,
good.
Yeah.
It was a 20-minute long exposure, and so every 20 minutes we could shoot another exposure. We took a total of 8 photographs, and Chris picked the best one.
Right.
Nice.
Well, that is trick.
Just want to say that, Cowcatcher magazine, one of the cool things about a free community paper is that they're actually an incline, that they're growing in the internet age. So if you have them at your local hobby shop, pick them up. You get a really nice quality magazine that you can thumb through. His editorial's fantastic. He's talking about current events, both prototype as well as Model 2. So good information in
It's
there.
a great paper magazine,
Very nicely
bi-monthly.
integrated.
I just absolutely personally love it. I like to go through it and cold call on the advertisers in it because there's a lot of it's just very well laid out.
Yeah.
Speaking of advertisers, we got Denny. Remember Denny from last week's show? Yelsma.
Yelsma.
Denny Yelsma.
Officially on their website now, you can buy the What's Neat this week. You called it
Swag.
Yeah.
the What's Neat this
right.
week jackets, and the logos are all there. We've got some of them hanging up in the background here. In fact, I've got my What's Neat shirt on. I love it.
He felt a little more comfortable with the sport
right.
coat.
So thank you very, very much, Denny. It's just it's so great what you did. James Regier, you were sharing this beautiful 4-bulb. What's it called? The strobe.
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
So I have here the new Rapido B36-7 locomotive here. Dad ordered it as early Christmas present to himself, but I'm borrowing it. It has a nice Stratolite beacon in it with 4 LEDs in it, and I thought, I have all these Kato GP35s that I've detailed, and I'd kind of like them to look right running next to it, and so I designed and built my own Stratolite beacon using an Atmel A-Tiny 13 chip that I programmed to do the 4 light sequence. And in fact, that's how the Stratolights actually worked on the railroad, that they would have 4 lights facing different directions that would fire off in sequence, so it would look like rotation but wouldn't have the moving parts for maintenance. So that was kind of a fun and challenging project.
You pulled it off. I hope there's B-roll on that because
Yeah.
it
Looks
Well,
good.
I wish
shot
the next one I will take some B-roll. This one I was, I went through several sets of 4 LEDs just because cramming them all into that tiny globe is a real challenge, and those little solder joints break very easily. So yeah, it took me a while to get it. I think I've got it so that I can make the next one a little bit quicker, and then so on after that. But it's kind of rewarding when it comes out. Yeah.
Now you got a Christmas themed flat car here too, don't you?
Yeah. So I just built this one this last week.
Okay.
I had some Facebook's photos of of the way poor Rudolph gets his nose lit, and
That was good.
it's
Kind of degrading.
yeah, poor guy.
So, he came out on top, though, anyway.
That's right.
Yeah, he's
right.
looking good now.
Drilled
Yeah.
through right from nose to tail there.
Only in the reverse order.
Right, yeah. Well, both ways to get a clean hole for the
Okay,
LED
well,
wires, but yeah.
poor Rudolph is the point.
Poor guy. He's lit, but he'll never be the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that, and then I had done similar at the Magic House, and I thought this time I would try something different. I would try and light up the sled like an aircraft. That's one thing I was thinking about. Poor Santa, he's flying up there, and if he would get hit
no
by
lights.
if he would get hit by Delta Flight 357 out of Atlanta, that would kind of ruin his day and a lot of
Yeah.
people's Christmas. So he needs some marker lights so that people would know what direction his sled is heading. And this is an example where experimentation doesn't necessarily go as you want it, because I tried doing another Atmel chip in there to activate an aircraft flasher sequence, so that there's a marker light on top of the tree that's supposed to flash, and then there were 2 white LEDs right behind the red and green marker LEDs that were supposed to flash as well, just like you'd see on an actual airplane.
Cool.
It doesn't quite work in DCC because it turns out you have to filter the current because of the bandwidth frequency.
Oh, that's what I would
Yeah.
have thought. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's what Chris told me. So,
Well, yeah.
And you're powering all these beautiful models on the table with this NCE
NCE power cab. Yeah.
power
That's
cab.
right.
That's what you like, Daniel, right? Give Daniel that microphone. Daniel, tell us, why do you like this NCE power cab?
Well, it's like I said in December is what's neat. It's a good little, quick setup. And I think I might have a holiday train run around an HO scale around my tree. And that is also a pretty good power supply to power up that holiday train.
What a
True
great
that.
idea.
Somebody just fell down.
And you
over
can
there.
add on. It's not just limited to just the power cab. You can add on the RBO2 wireless receiver. You can add on the USB interface. You can more throttles. Yeah, that's about it.
But the really neat thing is it's just compact. It's portable. You can set it up
Yeah,
in an
it's-
instant. And
Josh, in fact, you made a little portable case
Yep.
to
The
carry
cigar
yours
box,
around
yeah.
with the USB.
I did. I sure did. I took an old wooden cigar box and I drilled the holes out and put everything in there so it's all contained and doesn't scratch up or whatnot.
Yeah.
Tell them the chip that you put in to make the bell go back and forth.
okay, so the bell sequencer, I talk about this in December's What's Neat, for these 2 coaches here, but that's a 555 timer chip. And it's the circuit there is actually based off of a grade crossing flasher circuit that many modelers might have built. I just thought, what if you hook up 20 LEDs to each function instead of the two and then make them into the shape of a bell. I guess I could have had a candy cane wagging back and forth too.
This was perfect.
There's always
No,
next year, right?
And it really finishes it
I mean,
off.
you just think about. I mean, that's the thing. Don't be afraid to experiment. It's not always going to work, but you just think of the design. You try it out and see what works.
Right.
So this is going to be the last show for 2019.
How about that?
We're starting 2020 in a couple more days. And how
right.
excited are you guys about having the NMRA National in St. Louis this time? We don't have
Oh,
to,
yeah.
right?
I can sleep in my own bed after the show.
So July 12th through the 18th in St. Louis. You can look it up at NMRA at the website that they have, which is gateway2020.org. They're also still looking for clinicians. Tonight I found out what Chris Palomares' clinic is going to be about.
Yep.
But they're looking for clinicians, and you can sign up and contact Brad Joseph through the website, the NMRA2020.org website. I'm showing it on the screen right now. I think there's a part on there where it says info. So you just check out the info at part on this website. And rock and roll. We're looking forward to hosting everybody in St. Louis for that show this year. It's going to be a really good one, and we're going to do everything we can to make it good for you. So I'm looking forward to
Are you going to be
that.
broadcasting from the show again?
My plan is, and that's where I've got to get a hold of the folks that work in Chattanooga. There's 2 parts of the NMRA show. If you're familiar with the way these things work, the whole week in the hotel, they have the clinics and the model contest room, and there are so many activities. The layout tours, which I'm on the layout tour,
All right.
and a lot of other layouts that I've already filmed. In fact, Joe Fugate's coming to St. Louis here in January from the 5th to the 11th, and he's going to film about 5 or 8 layouts in St. Louis that are going to be on that tour. So look forward to that cool information. And then the second part of the show is the National Train Show, and I think that's run by the folks in Chattanooga from the National NMRA organization down there in Chattanooga. And those are the folks that I need to contact about getting a stage so we can broadcast from the show similarly to what we did at Train Fest.
Right.
And bring the manufacturers on board and share their new products for the time.
Speaking of new products, can I just drop on a couple Athearn
What do you
things?
got on the table?
Actually, the Norfolk Southern 911 is back in stock. And
All right.
it's not quite a stocking stuffer. I think it'd kind of blow out any stocking, but it does make a good after Christmas type gift to yourself if you're looking for something, or a gift to
Beautiful.
or a late
Beautiful.
Christmas gift.
Yes.
You know, sometimes that does happen too, if you're really busy like me. But
The paint schemes and all the work that you've done in this past year, you guys have come out with LED lights.
we are definitely wanting to give what our customers want, and we want to give the best value and experience to that. So we wanted to do it with the right colors, make sure our color tones are good, make sure our brightnesses look good, make sure, just how the focus is through the lens. Little details like that make a big difference,
That's cool.
So also we have the SD40-2 United Way. We also have a couple brethren to that. We have the Desert Victory UP locomotive, and then we also have the Norfolk Southern Maersk. We will be having the SDP40F Maersk. That's the Santa Fe, or BNSF Burlington Northern Santa Fe. That was their Maersk unit. They were out over in I think Port of Long Beach back in the 90s or something like that. So
And thank you for everything you do for
What?
us, Chris.
I remember seeing that United Way unit, and I think it was Railroad Days '94 in Topeka, and they had that unit there with the Cauldron car, and you could climb aboard it and tour it. I just have, that was a fun time.
yeah.
I'm excited about those Jeep 7s that you brought for
Oh
me.
yeah, those Mopac
yeah.
ones. And
Mopac,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Frisco, the high hood units.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to weathering those and making them look like they looked in the
I'll
70s.
be sure to get some footage of you weathering some of those.
All right,
I'd love,
man.
love
Yeah.
to see how they come out.
Yeah, they're nice
That's
models.
awesome,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Michael.
Yeah.
Mike, buddy, you are amazing. Thank you for being with us on this show for so long. Dave Davis, the same thing to you. Our friend Michael Wood, remember Michael Wood? He's the gentleman that met us at Train Fest and showed us the NCE throttle holder because he's a metal worker and he's got a plasma cutter and he makes some really cool stuff. Well, this week, Campbell Rice let us have his Rail Pro throttle, which is really kind of cool. There's a lot of people that do like this system. But Michael Wood has made a throttle holder now for the Rail Pro. So now he's got NCE covered, he's got a system for Digitrax covered, and now the Rail Pro. And you can look this up on his eBay site by typing in the words Rail Pro throttle holder. How simple is that? And you know what, guys? Every time I've talked about his stuff, and he's not a sponsor, we're just helping out a fellow model railroader because that's what we love to do.
And it's
Yeah.
cool stuff.
It's cool stuff, right?
We got to take
Yeah.
care of the smaller
No, I mean, that's
manufacturers.
He calls me
Yeah.
up. He's like, my website traffic has gone crazy. So you guys out there are spending money, and you do watch and do.
Because it's cool stuff.
I don't know how to word it.
Well,
Right?
I mean,
Well, hey,
those
before
things-
we go too much further, hey, Mike, you brought this car last time. What's the story on this Boston and Maine car that you weathered? Please,
Yeah.
Okay.
please base me with that.
That's a Moloko Fruit Growers Express 50-foot box car. And Nick Molo donated those to us like 3 or 4 or 6
Wow.
months ago, a long time
6,
ago.
7
Yeah.
months
Yeah.
ago. Yeah.
Right?
that a kit or together?
One. No, it comes ready to run.
Wow.
It's bulletproof.
B-roll.
All the
So is that the old Details West one?
No, it's all new tool.
Totally new
yeah.
tool.
Well, I mean,
And,
not that,
yeah.
but it's that version.
same basic prototype. Yeah.
Okay.
But the details are all metal. So they're hard to break off.
Right.
So,
That's
Durable.
probably the answer to that, isn't it,
Yeah.
for us operators?
so anyway, I weathered one. Jeff Meyer weathered one, and Ken's going to weather
I
one.
haven't
and
weathered
we'll-
mine yet. We're living at such an amazing time, guys. Not only is this the best hobby in the world, but this is, in my opinion, one of the best times to ever be in it.
Yeah.
With computer technology, and now we got 3D printing, there are so many innovative new products that are coming out. Wireless LEDs, guys.
That's like magic,
That's going to
Ken.
be a big deal.
That's right.
The remote
Big
control
deal.
cars that we were talking about earlier in the show. So, I mean, can you imagine that stuff? It was available in the 70s, and it simply wasn't. They had.
We got to be prepared for it.
We didn't even have cars in the 70s except Matchbox cars.
And listen, and what kind of hobby can you have besides this where you can meet anybody from 90 years old down to 5 years old?
Yeah.
And quality people. And
Right.
people. This is what's so great about the RPM show.
There's a guy I've been talking to on Facebook named John Peters, and he sent in some of his weathered cars
they are
on the
incredible, the stuff
they're
that
on
he
the
makes.
What's Neat
Yeah.
website or Facebook page, whatever you call it. I don't know, but anyway, he said he might fly down here, and he wouldn't be adverse to giving a clinic.
That'd be great. Get them on camera.
Maybe on the
That guy has
NMRA, but
talent.
yeah, John
Right.
Peters, your stuff is really awesome. So.
I'd like to thank everyone as viewers for not only watching the show and watching these guys progress, but sending your stuff in.
Yes.
I have seen so
huge.
much cool stuff from the Back to the Future
Oh yeah,
things.
the DeLorean and all that.
All over the place, all eras of the spectrum. So
True.
thank you guys very much for sending that stuff in, and keep sending it in.
There's no wrong way to enjoy trains.
That's one of the truly wonderful
bad.
things I think about this podcast is that it really is this sort of nationwide hobby shop bowl session where we all talk about our projects, we talk what's new, what's coming out, and just what we're having fun with.
And if you enjoy watching the show, you need to go down after you watch the show and hit the subscribe button.
Yes,
Hit the bell so you get notified when we put anything out.
Right.
Yep.
Because we'll put things out during the week that you might not know about as well.
True.
Yeah, and thank you guys for watching. I mean, it's 100 shows now, and we
Yeah.
can't thank you
Yeah.
enough for giving us the platform to do 100 shows.
Yeah.
That's a huge milestone.
It is.
And it's all because of you. And I thank everybody for coming up to me at these train shows and saying hi and introducing themselves. I mean, it's been a fantastic opportunity to meet other modelers all over the country.
And all the people that have came to Sugar Fire to shake my hand and eat barbecue. I love you guys coming in.
Best hobby in the world
Yeah, it is.
with the best people in it.
That's right.
Daniel, Dave, Mike, Joshua, Sugar Fire, Chris Palomares,
Yeah.
Dirk Reynolds,
Palamine.
James Regier, some of the best people I've had the opportunity to meet that have walked in my back door. I love all you guys. I love what we're doing, and let's do it for another 100 shows.
And we all
So,
love you too. So.
With that, we're at 45 minutes. This is a longer show than normal, but you know what? It's a good one, and it's with good folks. This show is made by us, Simple Model Railroaders, for you. It's just the way it is.
Hey, that wasn't in the script.
Are you
with
sure?
that, guys, all at once, let's go
Run some trains.
Happy holidays.
Happy holiday.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
That's right.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy
New Year.
Festivus for the rest of us.
Hey Ken, this is Joe Fugate with Model Railroad Hobbyist MRH Media. I just wanted to congratulate you and your team for starting and now reaching your 100th show for the What's Neat video podcast. And also congratulate Chris and Mike Buddy and Daniel and your whole team for continuing to produce these weekly video podcasts. So congratulations, Ken. We love your monthly What's Neat over on Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine, and congratulations on 100 shows for the weekly video podcast.